Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the SciAli Stats YouTube channel. Today, like I said in my last video, we're going to be looking at MIT. So if you're somehow unaware, MIT is, um, many consider it to be the most competitive invitational in the entire nation. Solon is probably second, but for me at least, MIT is almost certainly the most competitive invitational in the country, and that's because of their very unique way that they invite teams. It's in a way a true invitational. Most invitationals, how they work is teams. They sign up, they pay the tournament director to go to the invitational, and then they're registered, and that's it. MIT works a little differently. How they do it is you need to be invited to go to MIT by the MIT gods or whatever. So there are two ways you can get an invitational or an invitation to go to MIT. One is at any point in your team's history, ranking in the top 10 at the national tournament. Now, that is, a very hard thing to do. Even some competitive teams like, Cumberland Valley, who in recent years has become a very competitive team, they have not achieved that yet. You can, there's another option that you can do. You can ask directly. You can ask, pray to the MIT gods. You can send them a letter, basically asking for them to send you an invitation to the tournament. And those are the only two ways that teams can get in here. Now, I'm not sure what factors exactly. If you send them a letter asking to get in, I'm not sure exactly what factors the people at MIT consider when trying to figure out who they should let into the tournament. I assume competitiveness is a factor because MIT, they pride themselves on being very competitive. That's the whole reason they do it this way, is so that they can maintain that level of competitiveness. And I mean, yeah, the results speak for themselves. Look at how many competitive teams we have going to this. I'm not going to read through all of these because I'm going to be going through this. But yeah, there's, how many is that? That's 18 competitive teams. And like I said, almost every team that goes to this at some point in their history has placed in the top 10 at nationals. So while they might not be super competitive anymore, they were at one point very competitive. So without further ado, let's get into this. So what I've done here is this video, as I said in the last video, this video will not be my MIT predictions. You can see I started that down here. I'm going to do my best not to spoil that. I might have actually accidentally already have spoiled a little bit, but I started, down here. I don't have any of the events done yet. I have my overall predictions done. How these competitive teams will rank compared to each other overall. I don't have any of the events done yet, but anyway, let's get on with it. So what I've done here is, like I said, I've compiled the most competitive teams that are going to MIT. I've put their nationals ranking here. Some teams I have NA for. That just means they didn't make it to nationals last year. But looking at these teams, you can see they're very competitive. Cumberland Valley, very competitive. They narrowly lost their bid to nationals last year to Lower Merion by, I believe, 3 points. But the year before that, they were state champions, so still a very competitive Pennsylvania team. Jordan, this year, Jordan has been extremely competitive, outcompeting Seven Lakes at some tournaments, so that is very noteworthy. So that's why they're on this list here. Montgomery outcompeted for the New Jersey spot for nationals by West Windsor Plainsboro. But this year, so far at least, I think they are outcompeting West Windsor. We'll see if that changes with this tournament. And Mountain View. Again, outcompeted by Castro Valley, I believe. Let me check that. I should really know this at this point. Yep, Castro Valley and Troy outcompeted Mountain View. Oh, by the way, I said in the last video that I would inform you if these two teams are from the same uh, state competition. Like I said, California does it weird. If these two teams are from the same region in California, either in the north or the south, they are not. They are from different regions. Mountain View is from the north, I believe, and Troy is from the south. So, yes, these two teams can go to nationals together. Mountain View and Monte Vista are from the same state tournament, so in California. So yeah, again, Mountain View outcompeting Monte Vista right now. But yeah, Mountain View was outcompeted by Castro Valley last year. This year, you can see I have Castro Valley actually below Temple City. I didn't talk about this in the last video. I didn't really talk about Birdso at all. But yeah, Temple City beat Castro Valley again. That's a pretty decent margin there. Pretty big gap. So I think right now Temple City is on top right now, on top of Castro Valley. But Mountain View and Troy beat them both. So, yep. So those are all the teams that did not go to nationals last year. Acton Boxborough got 6th. Stevenson, as I've said in multiple videos before, got 1st. Harriton got 5th. Iolani, probably the least competitive team out of this bunch. They're the Hawaii State champions. They got 27th. Marquette got 11th. Mason got 3rd. I'm not going to waste any more time reading these. You can look at these if you want. And then this category, I just put how much data we have on them. And by that, I mean how many invitationals have they gone to so far. So how good of an idea do we have about how competitive they are this year? So anything that has 2 or 3, or some of these teams have 4 and 5 even for Marquette, that invitationals that they've gone to, we have a lot of data on them. Teams that only have 1, or in Acton Boxborough's case, we don't have any data on them so far. This is the first, to the best of my knowledge, the first tournament that they are attending this year. They got 6th place at nationals last year, so you can expect them to do pretty well. But that's what this. But that's my big question for them: is how well will they do? We have no idea. In my next video, which again will probably come out tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about predictions. It's really hard for me to rank them in anything. I'll do my best just judging about how they performed last year at nationals. But yeah, we really have no idea. It could be like Stevenson, where, this year they seem to have fallen off quite a bit, or they could be like Seven Lakes or Syosset, which have increased their ranks pretty significantly this year. So we just don't know. So that's my big question for them. And that's what this category is for. This category, for each team, I came up with at least 1, sometimes 2 questions that I want, that I'm going to be looking to answer based when I'm looking at the results of this tournament. And that if they live stream the award ceremony, I've decided that I'm probably not going to attend in person here. If they live stream the award ceremony, these are going to be things that I'm looking for as I watch. So, yeah, for Acton Boxborough, it's just how will they do? I have no idea. We don't have data on them. Stevenson, again, a pretty obvious question here. Will they show us that they were the national champions? I've said it in multiple videos. Stevenson really has not been performing at the level that they were last year. Again, they were national champions last year. You would expect to see at least a little bit of that in this year's performance, but not really. I mean, you can see I have them behind right now, behind teams like New Trier, which is an in-state rival, and Troy from Michigan, and Cumberland Valley, and Montgomery, and then all these teams in the top 10. So, like, Stevenson really has not been doing as well. Again, they're still a very competitive school, don't get me wrong, just not nearly as competitive as they were last year. So this is their big opportunity. This is their big chance to change my mind. If they get, top 5 or top 3 or even top 10 at this tournament, then that could really change my mind about their their rankings right now. Cumberland Valley. So Soaps, just came out this weekend. Cumberland Valley, if you watch my Soaps video, you'll know that I think they were one of the big winners at Soaps, both, literally and kind of not necessarily metaphorically, but like extrapolating their victory. They're also a very big winner. But yeah, I mean, getting second here, second to Mason, which I'm still a little conflicted about whether they were stacked or unstacked. I'm pretty sure they were unstacked, but still, I mean, this is still a really good showing, beating Lower Marion and Thomas Jefferson. So this is a big question for me. Will they continue to advance? Because right now I have them just outside of the top 10. If they have a really strong showing at this tournament, that could easily change. If Cumberland Valley has a really good day at MIT, I could see moving them up into maybe fifth or fourth place, honestly, if everything goes right for them, if they have a fantastic showing at MIT. Or they could lose some of that momentum. I noted as fall off in here. They could lose some of that momentum. They could. I might, if they have a really bad day, I might even kick them out of the in pursuit category. And that is partially going to depend on our next team, Harriton. How are they going to do? How is their A team? I'm assuming they're going stacked and bringing their A team. How is their A team going to stack up nationally and especially against CV? Because right now, I have Cumberland Valley very narrowly ahead of Harriton. And that's just based on how CV performed against Lower Marion at Soaps. Harriton, if we look at, we don't have a lot of data on Harriton. This was their B team at Battle, like I've said before. And then here, they were unstacked and they scratched in build events. So this super scoring is with them, what's it called? I super scored them and gave them an average rank of third in each build event, and that does put them ahead of that put them ahead of CV's super score. Since this tournament, since Dick Smith, CV has improved a lot. Like I said, their showing at Soaps is really what makes me think they are ahead of Harriton, just barely though. This tournament's really going to confirm that. Are they really ahead of Harriton? Or is that just my CV bias seeping in? I don't know. And how is Harriton going to stack up nationally? This team got fifth place nationally last year. I'm curious to see how they do this year. Iolani, we don't have a lot of data on them. The only data we have is from Highlands, I believe. Yeah, which if you've watched some of my other videos, you'll know I don't have a super strong opinion, super good opinion about Highlands. At least, in terms of a tournament and saying like how well teams perform. Also, Highlands was forever ago. This was the first tournament. So honestly, these results are probably irrelevant at this point. These teams have, a lot of these teams have shown that they are competitive in other invitationals. And this was months ago. This was literally the first tournament of the 2023-24 season. So I honestly, even if this tournament was super competitive and representative of these teams' abilities at the time, I don't think it is anymore. So that's our only data point on Iolani. So I'm curious how they stand nationally. Last year at the national tournament, I'm going to move this over here so that I can more easily look at it. They got 27th. Actually, I didn't need to do that. I forgot I put this number on here. Yeah, they got 27th at the national tournament. Pretty average, a little bit above average, but pretty standard. So I'm curious how they do this year. Jordan. So this is one of the teams that did not attend nationals last year. They were outcompeted by William P. Clements here for the second Texas spot to nationals. So I'm curious how they, that should say lose. I'm curious if they can, again, outcompete Seven Lakes because there was a tournament here, not that one, this one, Cypress Falls, where they did outcompete Seven Lakes. They beat them by a pretty decent margin. Whoops. And then at whoops, and then at University of Texas, Seven Lakes came back. Not a super big margin, pretty decent still, but it's definitely not insurmountable for Jordan to come back and beat Seven Lakes again and reclaim their spot as the best school in Texas. Um, and also, how will they stand nationally? Of course, that's the big question for all of these schools. But right now, I have Jordan in what is that, sixth? Yep, I have Jordan in sixth, right ahead of Syosset, which I'll get to in a little bit. Um, but yeah, I'm curious if this is a fair ranking for them, if this is accurate, and MIT should help us answer that question. Marquette, I mentioned in the last video, Marquette was the only school from my first iteration of this ranking to my current one that has not changed at all. I put them in eighth originally. I kept them in eighth throughout early January, and now I still have them in eighth into mid to late January now. So they really have been really consistent this year. The tournament that came out not too long ago, their tournament, Marquette University Invitational, didn't change anything actually. Stevenson still behind. When you do super score Stevenson, by the way, it is a lot closer. But again, nationally, Marquette, eighth place, still pretty good, but not quite as good as some of these other schools. So Stevenson, I'm still pretty confident in keeping Stevenson out of the top 10 for now. Maybe a little bit higher than this, maybe ahead of CV here. But yeah, Marquette. I want to see if they remain constant and if they can continue to beat Stevenson. Mason. So Mason was another big winner from this past weekend, doing really well at Soaps. When you super score them, they do even better. And I'm curious if they can, similar to CV, I'm curious if they can keep that momentum going. Right now, I had them in like sixth or seventh, and I advanced them all the way up to fourth here. So I'm curious if they can beat some of these California teams that are going, and also if they can maintain their. What just happened? That was weird. Sorry about that. I don't know how that looked on the video, but my Google Chrome just disappeared and the dock disappeared and there was just like one window here and I just X'd out of that and it reappeared. I don't know. Whatever. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. Let's move along here. We're gonna run out of time. I can already tell because I talk too much. Montgomery. So Montgomery, another team that I at one point had in the top 10, they have since been kicked out by Thomas Jefferson and Carmel. Can they regain that? Can they maybe beat Marquette or Syosset? That proves to me that they deserve to be in the top 10. And the other big question is, can they stay ahead of Westminster? Will they hold on to the top spot in New Jersey? Right now, New Jersey only sends one team to nationals. And it's kind of similar to Pennsylvania, where like you have more than the set number of national spots. You have more competitive teams than the number of national spots the state can send. So like you have Montgomery and Westminster in New Jersey, but that state only sends one team to nationals, so only one of those teams can go. And in Pennsylvania, you have Harriton and Cumberland Valley and Lower Merion. All three of those are competitive national level teams. It's just Pennsylvania can only send two of them. So one of those teams is going to be disappointed at the state tournament. So, yeah, Montgomery, can they hold on to that top spot in New Jersey? And we might as well do Westminster Plainsboro right now. Will they take that top spot in New Jersey? This is a matchup that I'm very curious. I don't think we've seen this matchup yet. I'm assessing this based on proxy. Yeah, we actually did at Cornell. Westminster might have been unstacked. And actually, when you super score them, they do beat Montgomery. So it is possible that Westminster is the better team right now. But MIT will prove that to me. Mountain View, will they beat Troy again? So As I mentioned in the last video, Mountain View recently, this past weekend, beat Troy. Even when you super score them, they beat Troy. Um, so it's interesting. I'm curious to see if they can do it again. Like I said, this is a very, very small gap, and it's possible. Like I said in the last video, super scoring, when you super score two uh, rosters from the same school, it often underestimates them. So it's possible that if Troy did send their best people on one roster, if they went stacked, they would have beaten Mountain View. Hopefully, MIT will tell me that. New Trier, pretty similar to Stevenson from the same state, Illinois. They they have fallen off a little bit this year. You can see they got ninth place last year. Right now, I have them in roughly 14th place, just ahead of Stevenson. And the main thing that's telling me that is something. Where is it? Here it is. You can see New Trier beating both of Stevenson's teams by quite a bit. I'm actually searching Stevenson. And then here again, when you super score them, this is pretty close. I think it's that's after or before Boyceville. So this is probably a little more relevant. So yeah, can they hold on to that? Can they continue beating Stevenson? And will they show again? Will they show they are in the top 10? Because they were last year, so maybe they are this year again. But right now, it's not looking like it. Seven Lakes. So this is a team that I have advanced from last year. Last year, again, they got 8th. This year, I have them in 5th. Pretty decent advancement there from Seven Lakes. And how do they stack up against other teams from outside of Texas? We really only have them in comparison to teams from Texas, and we're just using proxies to try and assess how they stand against other teams, but we really don't know. Can they hold back Jordan? Can they hold on to that spot in that first place spot in Texas? And how do they stand against some of these other nationally ranked teams? Syosset. So this is the team that has probably advanced the most this year. When I first made this ranking, I had them in like 4th or 5th. Right now, I have them in 6th. It looks like. Wait, no. 7th. Sorry, I have them in 7th. I can't count. I have them in 7th right now. So can they hold on to that? Can they confirm to me that they are very competitive this year? And can they advance even further, maybe? Maybe they're better than Seven Lakes and even Mason. I don't know. MIT will hopefully tell me that. Troy, I've kind of talked about them in proxy this video so far when I talked about Mountain View. That's really their big thing. Can they beat Mountain View? Because it looks like this tournament, if they were stacked, they might have been able to beat Mountain View. I don't know. So MIT should tell me that, because we'll see which of these teams beat each other. And also, I had Troy in the top spot nationally. Can they prove, if Troy has a strong enough showing at this tournament, if they beat second place by, honestly, even by like 10 points, 15 points, I might consider putting them back ahead of Solon. We haven't seen this matchup yet. We haven't seen Solon versus anyone other than Mason, really. And I mean, they've crushed Mason a couple of times. So I'm pretty confident in saying they're better than Mason, but we don't really know how they compare against these California teams. So I'm curious to see if Troy can do exceptionally well and can prove that they are the best team in the nation. Ward Melville. So this is a team that went to nationals last year from New York. Right now, I think Great Neck South actually is out-competing them, and of course Syosset as well is out-competing them. But my big question is, can they stay ahead of New Trier and Stevenson? Because if you look, the one data point we have for them, they beat New Trier and Stevenson. Again, I should probably super score Stevenson for this tournament, but that's still a pretty big gap. And honestly, these teams, by comparison, these two Stevenson teams don't actually. Well, yeah, that means they were unstacked. Never mind. So yeah, I should probably super score Stevenson here and see how they do. But yeah, can they stay ahead of New Trier and Stevenson? Westminster Plainsboro, we already talked about. It's just can they beat Montgomery? William G. Enlow. So this is the North Carolina state champion, and I believe they got 10th. Yes, they did. They got 10th place last year at nationals, and this year we don't have too much data on them, other than they're better than the Georgia state champion, which isn't saying too much. But here, this might have been their B team or something, but they got absolutely bodied here, getting 12th. Not great. Yeah, I want to see them do well. I do think that might have been their B team, considering how well they did at nationals last year. But this tournament should tell me that. And last but not least, William P. Clements. So this was a team this was, like I said, the second place team from Texas. They got that second Texas spot to nationals, beating out Jordan. This year, I think Jordan is beating them, and I have some evidence for that. They've beaten them directly here. They even got beat out by Liberal Arts and Science Academy. And then here at Rickards, again, not great, getting beat by Florida teams, Seven Lakes, and of course Monte Vista. Here again, getting beat out by Jordan. Everything indicates really that they are the third place team in Texas right now. Jordan and Seven Lakes are ahead of them. Maybe this will change that. This is their opportunity. This is their chance to prove to me and to the rest of the nation that they are the second place team in Texas, maybe even the first place team in Texas. Maybe they'll beat Seven Lakes. Where's Seven Lakes? Here they are. Maybe they'll beat Seven Lakes. I don't know. But that's really the whole point of invitationals, is to tell us that. Tell us where these teams stand nationally. Tell the teams what they need to work on, what they need to improve, and then hopefully they'll get to work and do it. And then when the next invitational comes around, we'll see how they've done on improving. So that's really what we're measuring here. I think that's all I wanted to say here. I really wanted to just go through this, go through what we're looking for each team, and questions that we want answered by by MIT. And again, I fully expect MIT will answer these questions, and like I said in the last video, completely shake up my national ranking. So make sure to subscribe for my MIT analysis. And until then, thank you for watching. Have a fantastic day.